Yeah.
Yeah, the hair one. And
okay. Hi, everybody. It's Kathy Holmeyer, and I am with Karen. Hi, Karen.
hello. Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
Karen and I live close to each other, but we rarely see each other unless we do stuff like this or the retreat. But oh my gosh, a great retreat last September. It was awesome. And right now I'm in the middle of one, which is 10 people for 7 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I just got them dinner and came over here. Just did a nutritional energetics talk for them, and I have to say, they were kind of blown away. So it's really cool.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's great. I love it when you're spreading your magic. I love it, love it, love it.
Yeah. So, Karen, a lot of people do know you, but this is the first time I've had you on the Akashic Academy, even though I've been had a show for over a year now. And I see some folks coming in, so please do let us know where you're from. I'm going to let Karen give you her quick background, however she wants to. She does tons of things as well. And today we're talking about the Lifewave Patches. So I'll just put that picture up for a second and kind of put across the screen that we're going to be talking about Lifewave Patches, probably one in particular. I'm not seeing comments, so if somebody could put a comment in there just to let us know you're here, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, you know, Kathy, I'm counting about 14 years now that I have been using the Lifewave Patches. And for me, I was really desperate. Like 14 years ago, I was still recovering from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. I still had quite a bit of, fatigue. I had quite a bit of pain still. And even though I, was better, I was leaving like tons of dishes in the sink. I was leaving laundry undone for years, for weeks. I mean, it was terrible. But I was introduced by a chiropractor actually to these patches. And back then they only had one patch, which was the energy enhancer. And now we have 6 or 7 or something. And then now the stem cell one, which we're going to talk about today, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So that really radically changed my life, because as an acupuncturist, I understood about energy and chi and vitality, but I never thought in a million years that I could use phototherapy or light to enhance that with no drugs, no injections, and not even needles. So honestly speaking, as an acupuncturist, I got more benefit out of the patches with regards to, like overall pain relief and energy than I did with acupuncture. Because acupuncture, you're there for an hour, it's awesome, you feel good for a couple hours, and then So I was so low that I just couldn't upkeep that energy, and the patches were 12 hours a day of therapy for me. So it radically changed my life. I love them so much. I got to know, the CEO and the creator of the patches. I got to visit the company. I got to meet Suzanne Summers, who was an ambassador for the company at the time. She wrote about them in 4 or 5, I think, of her best-selling books, including the one on cancer. Yeah, there we go. And and then I think it was many years ago that I introduced you to the patches. And then maybe you could tell a little bit of your story, which one you like the best. I have so many favorites. We'll talk about the stem cell ones in a moment, but maybe tell your story, Kathy.
Well, yeah. In fact, Karen, look at what picture I have. I think you can see them. I'm not sure. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Yep, there we are.
Years ago when, I didn't know people survived without brain fog. I mean, I felt like I was going like this all the time. And I had heard of Karen and said, oh, yeah, the patches, there's another thing. And I hadn't tried them. And then when I think I was remembering this right, when you asked me to be in one of your day programs in Saranac Lake,
right.
Bean, you had asked Sabine, but she was busy. So I came in and did bone broth, I think. And you and another person were muscle testing me and going, oh, are you brain balanced? And they go, oh, you're not. And somebody slapped an Eon on me. And I went, oh my gosh. I'm like, what are you doing? And how are you doing this? And how are you knowing that I'm brain balanced or not? And I would say within a week of wearing them, I mean, I felt instant relief. It was like, wow. So the picture I had up before was I had invited Karen over to my lodge, Lake Clear Lodge, and to do a video so that I could show people about the Eon. But from there, lots of, I think when I started, there was the Eon and the energy. Now I am wearing energy all week long because I am doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner for
Smart.
So
Very, very smart. Yeah. So yeah, they've I think they first did the energy patches, and then we came up with Icewave, which is our pain relief one, which works usually within a few minutes. So we expect about 80 to 85% of people that use the Icewave get 50% or more decrease in pain within a few minutes. There's a whole protocol to that. So it's very, very helpful. Like I said, sometimes a lot of times faster than acupuncture. Then there's the glutathione that came out, which originally was for skin, but people were more and more people were familiar with glutathione being a master antioxidant, being super important in your own body, that they decided to rename it the glutathione patch, so people can detoxify and support their immune systems. And then we had the carnosine patch come out, which helps to repair muscle and tissue that's been through surgery and trauma and things like that. And athletes, very, very good for athletes. Oh my gosh. And then we have the Alavida, which is now our new skincare line, and that's also an antioxidant which helps the pineal gland. A lot of people have problems with their pineal gland because of all the toxins and everything in our environment. And I remember when I first started the Alavida, they didn't give us the name or what it was for, so I thought it was a spiritual patch. I know that sounds hilarious, but I said to David, because he gave me testers, and he wouldn't tell me what it was, except that he said, it's I want your objective opinion. It's an antioxidant and it helps pineal gland, but that's all I can tell you. And so I just said, David, I have more spiritual power. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I used to get sleepy doing healing work. I'd get kind of tired, and then I'd be, yawning, after about 3 people. But then I could do like a whole day of energy work, and I just felt good to go. I didn't feel sleepy. I didn't feel like, I just felt like I could focus better. And so that was my story with the Alavida. And then they came out with Nirvana, which is to help beta endorphins. Now, since I'm it's a long time ago that I had depression. So Nirvana, honestly, did I need it? Not really. So certain people, like one of my downline team members, Anna, had like a night and day reaction to Nirvana, just being down and in the dumps, and then just feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm back. Who I am is really back, which is super, super cool. And then the Eon patches, again, when we were trying them out, my husband and I, we figure skate, we can compete. And so when David was asking us for feedback, I said, well, I'm not really sure what this does, except that I notice I'm more flexible and I have more endurance on the ice. And he says, well, he couldn't tell me the details, but he said there's an anti-inflammatory component. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, because having had fibromyalgia and autoimmune disease, things like that, inflammation is a big part of it. So no wonder I was more flexible. No wonder I had increased, energy, etc. And so our results were so impressive that they actually made a video of us, with the whole, like, the professional, like, makeup job, and, us skating and stuff like that. And then this X39 just came out in January, and I had been trying it for about, I think 3 to almost 6 months then. And the funny thing is, because I use all the other patches on a regular basis to support myself, and because I am so busy, and I love being busy, and I love being productive. And the bigger your energy, the more abundant you are. Let me say that again. The bigger your energy and the chi and the vitality, the more abundant you are physically, financially, relationally. So I've learned this the hard way, unfortunately, in the past. So I have a vested interest in really supporting my energy system and my health. And I think with the X39s, the first thing I noticed, I was, I thought I was sleeping great already, but the first thing I noticed was that just sleeping through the night, like just not waking up, sleeping through the night. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And then the second thing I noticed, and this is after a few months, so for some people, it's not going to be right away. For a lot of people, it is. They have immediate increased energy, decreased pain with the stem cell enhancing X39 patch. But for me, I just kind of was like, I think this is good for me. I'm going to continue that. And I just noticed, actually 3 of us noticed in the same week, that the eyelid wasn't drooping. you know, as much. And then the scar tissue, I have several surgeries that I've gone through, and the scar tissue, which is normally bumpy and thick, completely, you know, flattened out and it's flexible. And I've had several, you know, customers and team members email me and say, OMG, one who you know, Kathy Gretchen Yui of the Yui method. She had melanoma taken out years ago, and the scar has been there forever. And the other day, she emailed me. She goes, "I cannot find it." She says, "I am so thrilled." She says, "I know I had it this scar for a long time, and it is completely gone." So the stem cells that you produce, you know, in your body through the X39 signal become, you know, younger, healthier, and then it helps all parts of your body. So we have people with, you know, chronic fatigue that, you know, feel better, people with, you know, pain from osteoarthritis, herniated discs, abdominal surgeries, gut issues, feel so much better on it. And the lovely thing is there's no drugs, no injections. It's a lot cheaper than stem cell injections, which are like $25,000 a year minimum. And, you know, it's so powerful. Yeah, that was a mouthful. Can you tell I'm excited? So I'd love to answer some questions for folks, because we can go, you know, tell stories, questions. Yeah, Cindy, it totally, it's really cool. Like light, like healing through light. And we're not just talking about color, right? Like you probably heard about color therapy, like there colors, LED light, you know, that kind of thing, or even electromagnetic frequencies. But this is really unique. There is no other technology like this on the planet. This is patented, proprietary. I can't even tell you exactly how he does it because it's a secret, but I can tell you that these patches reflect certain frequencies of organic, frequencies inside your body, so that you can produce more of, in this case, stem cell enhancing peptides. And in different, the different patches do different things, but it's pretty cool because it's very specific. Like in acupuncture, I could put an acupuncture needle in, but I can't tell the body, hey, make more carnosine. Hey, make more glutathione to detox. Hey, make more stem cells. I mean, it's not that specific, Acupuncture is great, but it's not that specific. And this is very specific. Oh, thank you, Angela, for that nice testimonial.
And Christy's here. Hey, Christy.
Christy, hey, lovely girl. Love you.
And so there's a question, Karen, for what condition for which patch? So I guess,
Yeah, sure. So I know there's a lot of different patches, but what we recommend right now, no matter what the symptom is that I love to start with the X39 stem cell enhancing patch first, even for children, interestingly, because now I do, as Kathy does, we do energetic testing, muscle testing. And so I've been experimenting and just testing people just to see what their body wants. And in the past, when I've checked them for patches, this is obviously in one-on-one sessions, unique to what that person is wanting right now. Most often they want the Eon patch for brain balancing and sleep and things like that first, and then we kind of add on the other patches, as needed. But since the invention of the X39, I've noticed pretty much all everybody that I've tested says yes to the stem cell enhancing patch. So there's something about it that is so foundational. Like David, the creator, said that's our second level patch. Like all the other patches are like the first generation, but the X39 is the next generation. So we always pretty much start with X39, 3 to 7 days a week, depending on, how your body system is. For some people, they know they have a lot of toxins, whatever, you might want to be a little bit more gentle. Yes, thank you, Alice. So instant pain relief with X39 and Icewave. Yeah, excellent. So we start with X39 because we want your body to be on that repair. And then depending on your symptom, and you might want to write this down because there's a lot of patches. If you have fatigue, and say you've used the X39 for a week or two, and you're like, hey, fatigue used to be really bad. Now maybe it's half as bad, but you need more help. Then we recommend the energy enhancers, right? Makes sense. You can add those on top of the X39. if you feel like you still have a lot of stress or inflammation, even though you're on the X39s, and you can add in the YH Eon patches, AEON, that's the blue one that Kathy showed earlier. And then if you feel like you have additional pain that you haven't gotten rid of completely with the X39s, we would use something called Icewave. And thank you, Alexandra. She talked about the Nirvana. So that's the mood one, you know, to help you feel like better mood, happier mood. So it depends on your symptoms. The carnosine is great for tissue repair. So some people have used it for just pain. I mean, some used in ways that I wouldn't even think of, like somebody had pain on her heel and she tried Icewave and that wasn't as good for her as the carnosine. So she put the carnosine right over the heel where it hurt and boom, it's gone. It was amazing. Yeah, thank you, Kane. Like, yeah, that Kane is gonna, she has a picture that she's given me that we're gonna talk about her hubby on Thursday's class about the X39s. And we will be going through in a class a little bit, you know, with slides and things like that. So maybe Kathy can put that in the comments. Would love for all of you to come. It's a free class. I'll be giving the class. So I'll be talking about the science behind the patches, how they work, specifically also the X39s, how they work. And then we're going to talk a little bit about like what circumstances you would use that patch and then the other one. So I just kind of briefly summarized it, like glutathione's good for, like, you know, detoxification, immune system issues. If you have heavy metals, you know, it's really good too. But I'll always love to start with the X39s now because I just find it so foundational. And like I said, when I test people, almost everybody wants the X39s. So that link, I have a pretty link. Kathy, I don't know how to, do I put that in the little box there, in the little orange box?
You know, I honestly don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, let me put it there, and then let me try it.
Yeah, you can
and then you can copy and paste it.
And then
there we go.
I can put it underneath, and some people copy it and put it in the comments. I've never figured out how to get it in the comments, but we'll put it up.
I'll put it in the team chat, and then maybe you can put it in the comments. And that's a pretty link that goes to the actual registration. And yeah, so it's a 90-minute webinar. The first hour, we're really going to be going through just what I talked about before. And then the last half hour is really going to be fielding and answering questions for people, you know, how it works. Is it for me? You know, what kind of symptoms does it help? Now, we have to be very careful here in North America related to the FDA. We can't talk about, you know, it curing or healing or treating any condition because of the rules here. I know that's very frustrating for many of you, as it is for us. And the company can't even do necessarily any studies in the US relating to or inferring that it's treating anything. But what we can do is give you the results of the studies of, you know, what symptoms and parameters got better. So we can't say what patches for fibromyalgia. We can say what patches for the pain or for the low energy or for the sleep problems related to fibromyalgia. That we can answer. Hey, Chris. Yeah. Yeah, so if somebody else has another question, we'll be happy to answer some more questions about it.
Yeah, well, Rachel's saying, do patches take pain away? So I think she's saying she hurts all the time and has pain. So
right, yes, thank you. Yeah, Rachel, for you, I think if you have like all over body pain, we talk about that being in medicine like systemic. So there's systemic inflammation. There's something going on that's affecting the whole body, possibly even, you know, autoimmunity, which sometimes you cannot even check on a lab. Like sometimes the labs won't even show it. In fact, I've picked up autoimmunity energetically before the lab show autoimmunity, you know? So if you have pain all over, then I would definitely still use the X39s first. And then you can, you know, make sure you hydrate, of course. After a week or two, then you can introduce some of the other things. Now, the reason I say that instead of the Icewave, which is, of course, immediate pain relief, well, if I were you, I'd probably get both, but it's because sometimes the X39 alone can do the job, and you're getting, you know, the whole body treated, you know, with the stem cell enhancement. Carolyn says, patches help with hair loss. Well, that's a great question, Carolyn. Thank you. And Caroline, sorry, is one of my new Topican level 1 trainees. Woohoo, she rocks. So Caroline, that is a great question. The way the studies have been done is that they cannot, the company cannot report that this is a benefit, but a lot of people who have been using it, like distributors, customers, have reported thickening of hair and increased hair. In fact, I think James, my husband, I've noticed it because he can't see the back of his head, right? So I can see the back of his head, and I was just noticing the other day, and I was just like I'm like, you have more hair here, and he's like, oh, I always have great hair, and I'm like, nope, it's actually thicker, since you've been using the X39. And we do have a photo that I think I gave Kathy in the Facebook comments, which thank you, Christy. Yep. She'll figure out how to post it, of an Asian man who had the wherewithal to actually document his hair growth. But we can't make that claim because the company didn't do studies on that particular outcome, but it's a very common outcome. So it's one of those things you have to try it, see if it works for you. It may not be, a 2-week thing. It might take you two months, or 3 months, to notice the difference. Now, Kathy's also putting.
I can put up the tips that you gave me, Karen. So
oh, great, fantastic. Yeah, I can. We can talk about each of these.
Okay, sounds good.
So this is a picture of a young man who had a snowboarding accident. Basically, he fell and his face landed on a rock. Seriously, that's what happened. And he was cut up. And the thing was that he had a job interview in 3 days after this happened. So his mom, having the X39 patches, put it near the area of injury. And he had a huge improvement after a few days. And after 5 days, there is actually no scar tissue, despite, how terrible the injury was. So it was actually pretty amazing. So in acute injuries, the X39s really shine because it's an emergent thing. The body stem cells are like, hey, I'm going to fix that, Some chronic things, and I don't know if Anna's here, maybe she can, comment, but Anna, one of our leaders in our in our group, she had all sorts of things, that are problematic in her life, like a whole list, of things. And she said, honestly, after 3 months, 6 months, she says, I'm not really sure what it was doing, but she had gone to her regular checkups. And they were retesting some things. And she had, like I said, a long list of things wrong. And what was fascinating, she said that the doctor said her diverticulosis. Now, remember, we're not making a claim here. Okay, I'm just telling you a story. So her diverticulosis, where you have in the colon, you have little pockets that squeeze out due to constipation and weakening. And, these pockets can get full of stool and they can be infected and you could literally have to have surgery. So diverticulosis is normally not considered reversible, but she had her colonoscopy and the doctor's like, oh, well, pretty much gone or almost all gone. And it was shocking to her because she didn't have any symptoms, but she was, just checking up her colonoscopy every however often. And I've never heard of that. I've never heard in my entire medical career of any surgeon or, gastroenterologist saying to any of my patients, your diverticulosis has reversed. Now, the other thing really cool with Anna is she had chronic renal failure, meaning that her kidneys were chronically ill. And again, long story, won't tell you why it is, but so her kidneys were failing and she's not that old. And yeah, she had her lab test done not that long ago and her kidneys showed completely normal on the labs.
Wow.
And she said after 6 months, she wasn't sure what it was doing, but she just had this faith because she had such great results with the other patches. She just had this faith that something was happening, And the thing is, I feel like the stem cells know where to go. Like they know where it should go first, to be like the most useful. So some people are like, hey, I have this elbow pain and I've used it for a week and it's not any better. I don't know if they're working, And what I say to that person, of course, I can muscle test it. Kathy can muscle test what system is being helped. But oftentimes the immune system, the nervous system, digestive system, very, very important systems. If you're having issues in those areas, even if you don't know it, I believe they'll probably heal those first before your elbow. So sometimes you do need to have a little bit of patience, but it's a 30-day money back guarantee. So you can talk to Kathy about it. She's a distributor. And if you're interested in trying them, you can always try them. So Kanae says, what would you use for skin pain? A client that her skin on her feet hurt morning is worse when she walks until she gets going, and then it seems to lessen. Yeah, it's really interesting. I would say if you have X39, I would try it on one of the skin places first. And if that doesn't give, more or less immediate results in the next couple of days, try the carnosine, because we've had some good success with the carnosine on the foot area. And then if that doesn't work, then we can always try the ice wave on the bottom of the feet and the whole body, protocol. Great question.
Yeah, Rachel's seems to be real curious in these, and she's asking. Whoops, I meant to hold on. But I was going to answer this one, Karen, because from my standpoint, what can it take the illness, disease, pains away? And I think you're talking more pain than anything. I think there's a percentage where these patches work for, and Karen can probably say the percentage. But my point of the comment is for the percentage of people who the patches don't work for. In my programs, I look at the body blueprint as energy coming in, energy being stored, and then energy moving. And for me, the patches are meridian flow. So if they're not working for you, you may not have enough energy stored to get that flow. And that's one thing that we can work on as well, and see how much storage and chi is coming into your body, storing in the proper places, and then moving. And so it might be a little bit more complicated, but with some muscle testing, either Karen or I, we can take a look at if they don't work right away, where is the chi not coming in, or you're losing it, or not being stored, so that these patches can flow it for you. Because I've seen them work, like last night, I was really tired after doing all this, and my feet hurt, so I went, I'm just going to put ice waves on, because I just know overnight my meridians are flow. And I wasn't really doing it for pain, but then I went, oh, okay, so some of that pain is gone. That's cool. And I didn't really expect it either. I was just going, okay, well, I'm just going to flow this. So sometimes it is a look at taking where your energy is coming in, where your energy is being stored, and and the meridian flowing, so that the patches can assist with the different areas. So occasionally it's a little more complicated, and occasionally you put them on and you feel just immediate results. So
right, and just because you don't feel anything based on what you're expecting doesn't mean something isn't happening. And like Kathy said, sometimes the flow really help. Like if you have pain, we know in Chinese medicine that there's blockages if there's any sort of pain. So the ice wave is the best one to clear blockages, because there's two patches that you use at the same time instead of just one. One's white, one's tan. So there's movement between the patches. And we should probably say, Kathy, hydration, super important. So you need to be drinking at least 64 ounces or 2 liters of water per day when you're on the patches, so that energy can flow. So Alice has a question. What do you recommend for burning pain in the hands? Which patch and which placement? I would say, like I said, I would always start with the X39s. And in fact, you can even put it, now there's a point in the back of the neck of what that's in the brochure. That's at the cervical 7. And that actually helps to cover the entire shoulder and arms area. Now, if you don't notice a huge improvement there within a week, you can actually try the ice wave, which we would actually put probably on the wrists. Now I've got ice wave today on lung points, actually. No, actually energy on lung points today, because I was a little stuffy last night. So I've got them on lung points today. Yeah, and then if you're in Kathy's team, she can guide you, or we can do some calls and we can guide folks. Okay, so Kathy put up a picture. Yeah, this is a jellyfish wound. Those are nasty, very, very painful. And so this is just with the single X39. You can see from the picture on the top left a lot of swelling, and then I think that was the next day, you could see that puffiness and the swelling go down, and the pain was decreased. And then you take a look at the bottom left, and there you can see a lot of healing going on. There's no swelling anymore. And again, this is like literally 5 days. Like jellyfish stings are not that fun to treat, let's put it that way. But in 5 days, such a huge difference. And then, you know, less about what is that, 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, you know, there's coloring there, but there's no scarring on the skin. So again, pretty dramatic results using that X39 stem cell enhancing patch.
And I think I have another one here, Karen.
You have to show the other one first.
Yeah,
that's the after. Okay. That's the after. Nope, not that one. One more.
I don't know. I put
one before that.
So maybe I don't have that. I'm just going to go through them. Maybe I don't have that one.
Oh, yep. Bummer. Yeah, I thought let me just see.
Yeah, you may have given it to me, but I was.
Okay. You may not have saved it. Yeah, that was a good one. But we're going to show that one on Thursday if you want to register.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was the story is there was a man who had this thumb injury, pretty bad thumb injury, and it was blue. The nail was not growing, and it was swollen. And it's been 18 years. Now, it's pretty dramatic if you saw the before picture. And this is the after picture, which, you know, he did not notice. Here's the key. He did not notice a difference for up to 3 months. But he had a feeling, like he had this faith and feeling like, you know what, I'm just going to stick with this, you know, because I've had this for 18 years. It's not going to hurt me. You know what I mean? So he did it for 3 months, and it was almost like dramatic, like almost overnight, where all of a sudden, you know, the swelling went down, the blue went down, the nail started growing. And so after 100 days, it pretty much looks normal. You can barely see the scar where he had the surgery. So again, on Thursday, we'll show the before and after so you can see that really clearly.
And Chris has a question there too.
Okay, Chris, I just got on. Don't know much about the patches. Can they help with liver issues or liver detox? I had some liver issues due to Hep C. I'm a viral count 0, but need to get. Yeah. So, Chris, I would say for what you're going through, the X39s probably make the most sense because of, you know, the damaging effects of, you know, having a chronic infection and getting your immune system up. One of the stories, which I didn't put I didn't put the pics here because I didn't want to shock people because how awful the wound looked, and I didn't know, you know, I didn't want any vomiting on this. Like, you know. But anyway, my girlfriend Sarah, she's in my martial arts. You know, she's a martial arts friend. She's in Canada. I don't see her that often, but she's normally very chipper, very bubbly. She's just like bang on. That her martial arts is awesome, and she's an inspiration to me. And last time I went up to Canada, I'd heard that she had melanoma, and she had a big chunk taken out of her 4th toe. And it had been a while, so you know she's hobbling around with this you know. You know, this big old bandage on her foot with this cane, and she could barely walk. And I was like, what's going on? She goes, well, I did tell you I had melanoma, right? And I said, well, yeah. First of all, I didn't know it was on your foot. And she says, well, let me show you some pictures. So she showed me some pictures. She goes, it's not healing. I said, really? She said, yeah, it's not healing. And I've gone through 2 rounds of antibiotics. I've lost 2 months of work. I am in pain all the time. I can't even drive because that's my driving foot, you know? And I need somebody to cart me around everywhere. And she honestly was miserable. I didn't want to look at her because she was so miserable, and being empathic, I could feel her misery. It was painful to me. And I said, look, will you please try these X39s? She goes, I'm ready to try anything. And she's an osteopath, so it's not like, you know, she's not open, and she knows a lot of different healing things already as an osteopath, right? But she wasn't healing. So the next day I gave them to her, she put them on, and then it's interesting because that later on that day I saw a smile come over her face, but I didn't see anything. The next day in martial arts class, we were doing also a special workshop, and she couldn't participate because she couldn't do anything, but she was there to support everybody. The next day we were doing some exercises, and I saw her doing some martial arts. Now she was sitting down, but she was smiling, she was laughing, and I thought, that's interesting. I told her, I said, you look like you have more energy. She goes, you think? She's like, yes. She said, I could feel the minute that patch went on. She said the pain is so much better, and I debrided the crusty stuff off the wound, and OMG, there is new tissue forming. Like, she was so shocked and so happy. And then the next week, she had pictures for every single day. And she was so thrilled. But, we saw her again the next week, and she was, I mean, she still had the cane, and she still sat down between just to be nice to her foot, but she was up, she was doing martial arts, she was smiling, she took every single class they had, and a week later, and this, remember, 2 months off work, couldn't drive. So a week after, she says, I'm back to work full time. Yeah, so this is after 2 weeks. I only gave her 10 patches. Oh, well, sold her 10 patches. That was it. And she was back to work full time, happy, her normal self. Things were healing. The surgeon was just like, wow, whatever you're doing, keep doing, because this is dramatic. Like, he was really shocked. Like, what a turnaround. Because she'd done 2 rounds of antibiotics and it was not healing. And I can't imagine, if we had not intervened, what her life would be now and all the income she would have lost not being able to go back to work. So that's the other thing, is just, let's use some light, technology. Let's use something that's beneficial, doesn't have major side effects like drugs or injections, isn't expensive, especially compared with stem cell, injections. And you can see from the photo that Kathy just shared that this 93-year-old Danish woman, lots of health problems, and she used 2 months, and you can just look on her face that she looks like 15 years younger to me. Like, she just doesn't look miserable anymore. Yeah. So I think Kathy and I just get really excited because we love having different tools to help people, and not every tool's, great for everyone. Obviously, you have to be open to it. You have to be willing to put a patch on every day. Some people, the first thing they reach for is a pill, and those aren't the kinds of people that are going to be, good, prospective people that try the patches. But for people that don't want to do the drugs, don't want to do the injections, want a faster way to heal and to reverse aging, then this is a really, really great technology. And I wouldn't put my, MD reputation on the line if I did not absolutely 100% believe in this, had personal results, client results, patient results, and I know the CEO personally and who he is and what he represents. He's a really spiritual guy. So yeah.
Great wrap up, Karen. Thank you. And just to tell people, we've been talking about the patches. Now, this is the Eon patch. So generally, they come in envelopes like this, and there's about 30 patches in each. Well, there's 30 patches in each envelope. Some of them are just a single patch, so you use that, and there's different placements. Some of them are double patches, so you use them basically on different sides of the body, or for ice wave, it's a little bit different. But just so you know, in general, how the patches work in terms of, they look like a little Band-Aid. And I've been using them long enough that Ernest even asked for them the other night, Karen. So I'm doing good. So they're easy enough to look like you're putting a Band-Aid on somebody if you want to patch somebody in your family or a friend, if they're up for it. And his back was hurting. And I said, well, let me just see. He said, yeah, okay, yep, go get a patch. So we did that.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So
that's
they're
great.
really easy to use, and you can, hide them from, under your clothes if you want to,
Or you can put an attention sticker on it so people ask you what it is. If you're selling it, that's what you want to do. I had some people put it on their third eye. I was like, okay,
Yeah, okay.
Let's go to the grocery store that way.
Okay.
And remember to register everyone for the class Thursday, because it's free and it's 8 p.m. Eastern.
It's Thursday. Okay. So I'll remind everybody. Thanks for joining into the Akashic Academy here. There's tons of shows. I know I think at 9 o'clock Eastern, there's a tapping show coming up, and then shows throughout the week. Karen, I'm so glad I finally got you on my show. We'll have to do it again. There's tons of stuff that we can talk about. So
absolutely.
And thanks everybody. If I didn't get comments below, I tried to scroll through and put everything up. If we didn't get a comment, I'll try and go through and comment, as well as putting the registry and the Lifewave Patch link up. Okay?
Fantastic. Okay, thank you, Kathy, so much. Lots of love to you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.